Your boy Luke Rockhold is at it again. Nobody does it like Luke Rockhold, man. Nobody in the whole world, nobody that I've ever met in my entire life, and I've never even met this guy for real, but nobody is as arrogant as Luke Rockhold. That guy is incredibly arrogant, man. Oh my gosh. Anyways, he has done a new interview with MMA fighting, and he just dropped some really bad news. I don't know if it's bad news or what, but I was really looking forward to seeing Chris Weidman versus Luke Rockhold. But Rockhold basically said, look, the UFC isn't giving him the right kind of contract to fight Chris Weidman at UFC 230. Damn. I really like Chris Weidman. I'm not keen on Luke Rockhold, but it's like, if he's in a fight, yeah, I'm definitely going to watch it, because that guy, I mean, he's been a bit of a letdown, but still, it's like, he is a bit of a, I can't say a draw, but just put it this way, I like to watch the guy fight. I like to watch him fight. The interviews are obnoxious. The way that he acts is obnoxious, all of that. But he is a pretty good fighter sometimes. Recently, he's just been even being arrogant in the cage and keeping his chin up and trying to be too cool for school, So recently, all of that has ventured its way into the cage, which is why he hasn't found much success. But I haven't really given up on the guy yet. But I can tell you this, his body is breaking down and his mind is breaking down. It really is. Like, I'm down for any fighter making more money in the UFC. I'm always down for that. Don't get me wrong. I will always support that, any fighter, except for the ones that I just don't like Cody Garbrandt, Andrea Lee. Who else don't I like? GDR. There's just certain fighters that it's like, if you're asking for more money, then it's just kind of like, no, I wouldn't necessarily campaign against it, but it's like, I don't care. I really don't care about you making more money. But, the Luke Rockholds, he's a dick. But yeah, I do think that he should make more money in the UFC. He sacrifices his body. He goes out there and all of these fighters go out there. They sacrifice their body. They're doing it for entertainment. It is what they love to do, but that doesn't mean that they should be living, in squalor, basically. Everything that I do for my job, all of the training that I do for my job, all of the extra, continued education that I do for my job, all of the commuting travel, there's discounts, all types of things. My company pays for it. My company pays for me to do training, continued education. My company will discount my commuter travels. My company will pay when we have to go out of town, out of state. My company pays for my security in and around the office. Are you getting me? Are you getting where I'm coming from with this? These guys are paying out of their pocket. All of these fighters are paying out of their pocket to be fighters. They pay, no telling what they're paying, but just to train. AKA isn't cheap. AKA is not cheap at all. And you have to pay for that. It's a lot of things that you have to pay for that the UFC really, they call their fighters independent contractors so that they can, basically an independent contractor. I'm just going to break it down for you guys. They call their fighters independent contractors because here in America, there are two sides of the tax bracket, right? I mean, not the tax bracket, but there are two sides of taxes, right? So FICA and Social Security, all of that. Those are taxes that come out. It goes to the government. When you're an employee, you pay half and your employer will pay the other half for you. It's by law. That's the law. You pay half of it gets deducted from your check, and then your employer matches that half. The employer match, right? If you are a 1099 employee, which means that you are an independent contract employee, basically, the employer does not have to pay that half of your taxes. That means that you are paying the entire portion of the tax. You're paying all of the FICA, all of it. You're paying your portion and your employer portion because technically you are your own employer. Another thing about independent contractors, all of the expenses, for instance, when I was saying that when I go to work, my company pays for me to do training. And then my company, all the payments, all of that money that they paid to train their employees, they write that off on their taxes at the end of the year. When you are an independent contractor, right, you pay for all of your own expenses. You have to pay for everything, your travel, your training, your clothes, everything. You pay for all of that. And then at the end of the year, you, as an individual, as an independent contractor, you get to write that off on your taxes. You get to itemize that, like write it off on your tax return. That's just a quick nutshell, right? So this is why the UFC saves a shit load of money by not paying, by making their fighters independent contractors. It's just the truth. It really is. And the fighters, they don't quite make as much money as you think. When the taxes come out and you look at the bottom line at the end of the day, after April 15th, which is tax day here in America, after April 15th, the bottom line starts to look real slim. Profits that you thought you were making are actually not profits at all. You're not in the black, you're in the red. A lot of these fighters are living like that. Even the big boys. You know, we know that Luke Rockhold is probably making, I don't know, maybe 150 to 200 to maybe 300,000, you know, to fight. But you really have to think about the taxes that you have to pay on the back end. You know, the taxes that you have to pay on the back end. And if you don't have a great accountant, you're probably not even getting all of your itemized deductions that you should be getting. But anyways, that's me just going on a bit of a tangent about the fighters. They're getting screwed over when it comes to the money, but still, Luke Rockhold goes about everything in such a boring, lackadaisical, dick-headed way. I wish that he could be a little, like, he's just too cool for school. He's like, they're like, oh, why isn't the fight on? It looks like you haven't signed the contract. He's like, well, you know, they didn't give me the right contract, you know, this and that and that. It's like, there's just something about him. Oh, gosh. But I'm just going to gut that. I'm going to take that one and just say, look, I hope that he can get the money that he's looking for. And it sounds like it's not just money with him. I know that he wants the money, but he also wants, to fight Chris Weidman at 205. Apparently, somewhere out of the blue, Luke Rockhold is having a hard time making 185. He's the smallest 185er. In my opinion, out of all the 185ers, he's the smallest one, but he seems to be having a hard time making 185. I just think that's excuses because he almost got his head knocked off by David Branch, and then he went out there and got knocked out by Yoel Romero. Before that, he got knocked out by Left Hook Larry. Before that, he almost got knocked out, and he almost got he was getting beat up by Chris Weidman. Anyways, you know, I don't think Luke Rockhold needs to leave on this note. I really don't. He does not need to leave on this sour note of just losing and and sad performances. I like Luke. I want to get behind Luke Rockhold, but it just seems like he's done. And if he is done, stop doing MMA interviews. You know, just stop doing them so that we can remember the Luke Rockhold from Strikeforce. Let's just let us remember that guy. Let us believe in the unicorn. Anyways, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button.